I'm adjusting the volume. Am I getting to a point where you can't hear me? Can you hear me well? Okay, great.
Yes.
All right. This is the contemporaneous meeting for instrumentalities that do not have any new business. Where you can't hear me. Can you hear me well? Okay, we got a 10-second delay feedback in my headset and everybody's. Okay, Mark. Okay, we got a 10-second delay.
Before so good.
I'm going to try again. This is the contemporaneous meeting for instrumentalities that do not have any new business or matters requiring deliberation. The meetings of the following instrumentalities: Laurel Homes 1, Lincoln View Incorporated, and Southwest Ohio Housing Development Incorporated, Bennett Point Development Corporation, and Logan Commons LLC are hereby called to order. Roll call for attendance. Ms. Mitchell.
Present.
Mr. Weedman.
Present.
Ms. Spears.
Present.
Mr. Harris.
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Present.
And the chair is present. We have a quorum. Commissioners, have you reviewed the June 29th, 2021 minutes for these instrumentalities?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second? Looking for a second?
Second.
Thank you. A roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion passes. There is no new business for these instrumentalities.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The meeting is adjourned. Now, the regular meeting of Reserve on South Martin GP Incorporated for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call for attendance. Ms. Mitchell.
Aye. Present.
Mr. Weedman.
Present.
Ms. Spears.
Present.
Mr. Harris.
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Present.
The chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes. Is there a-
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations. Resolution 006 to authorize the execution of depository agreement. I guess that's execution of the depository agreement between Reserve on South Martin GP Incorporated and U.S. Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion carried. The meeting for Reserve on South Martin GP Incorporated is adjourned. Now, the regular meeting of Cary Crossing Development Corporation for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Present.
and the chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations. Resolution 011 to authorize the execution of depository agreement between Cary Crossing LLC and Key Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion is carried. The meeting for Cary Crossing Development Corporation is adjourned. Now, the regular meeting of West Union Square Development Corporation for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Present.
The chair is present. We have a quorum for the meeting. Item 3 is approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations. Resolution 015 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between West Union Square LLC and Huntington Bank.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. May I have a motion to adjourn the West Union Square Development Corporation meeting?
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Enjoying the enthusiasm tonight. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion carried. The meeting for West Union Square Development Corporation is adjourned. This is now the regular meeting of Sutter View Development Corporation for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. Meeting is called to order. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Present.
and the chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations, resolution 007 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Sutter View LLC and US Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carried. The meeting for Sutter View Development Corporation is adjourned. This is the regular meeting of Pinecrest Rat Development Corporation for Tuesday, August 31st. 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Present.
The chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes. Is there a
Motion to
motion?
approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Any questions?
Oh, you know what?
Right.
yeah,
We need
I
to go
just-
back.
Discussion of recommendation.
I skipped over. I skipped over number 4. My apologies.
Now you remind me of myself. Tom. And
Uh-oh.
that's kind of my thing, okay? Let me do that. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations, 005. Resolution authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Pinecrest Rad LLC and US Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carried. The meeting for Pinecrest Rad Development Corporation is adjourned. This is the regular meeting now of Park Eden Evanston LLC for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Present.
and the chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations. Resolution 003 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Park Eden Evanston LLC and US Bank.
Actually, Mr. Miles, I'm sorry, I need to go back.
Sure.
I need to vote abstain. Those were in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to go back and have that vote again, parliamentarian?
I think Gary can just note it. Gary, just note
I don't think it's
abstention from
necessary.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Reggie. Okay, so let's see. I had called for the motion on resolution 003. Or was
Motion to-
about to?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passed.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Thank you. Roll call to adjourn. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion carried. The meeting for Park Eden Evanston LLC is adjourned. Now the regular meeting of Park Eden Apartments Development Corporation for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Present.
and the chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Any corrections? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, the motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations. Resolution 004 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Park Eden Apartments LLC and U.S. Bank.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion carries. The meeting for Park Eden Apartments Development Corporation is adjourned. Now, the regular meeting of Mariana Terrace Development Corporation for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. Meeting is called to order. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell.
Present.
Mr. Weedman.
Present.
Ms. Spears.
Present.
Mr. Harris.
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Present.
Chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes for June 29th, 2021? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations, resolution 002 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Mariana Terrace LLC and U.S. Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Mr. Spears. I'm sorry, Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion carried. The meeting for Mariana Terrace Development Corporation is adjourned. Now we move on to the regular meeting of Touchstone Property Services Incorporated for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. The meeting is called to order. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Present.
and the chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The motion passes. Item 4 is discussion of recommendations. Resolution 135, authorizing the financial report for the month of June 2021 with collection losses. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, this is Mr. Harris. Wondering if Marquita or Rima could just give us a sort of summary about where we stand, any thoughts, how we entered the summer.
Oh, absolutely. Good evening. The Touchstone write-off for the month of June 2021 was approximately $3,562. That brings our year-to-date total to $22,681.81. And that's approximately $4,000 a month on average. And in comparison to last year we were averaging about 10,600 per month. So it is lower as far as monthly average as comparison to the previous year. And just a reminder, all Touchstone properties and instrumentalities are on a calendar year basis, which is different than our than Cmha's programs.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears, Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Resolution number 136 to approve the monthly financial statement for Hamilton County Affordable Housing. Springdale Senior Limited Partnership, doing business as Baldwin Grove, the Reserve on South Martin, Cary Crossing, West Union Square, Sutter View, Evanston, Pinecrest, Park Eden Apartments, City West Retail, and Touchstone Property Services for the 6 months ending June 30th, 2021, for
Motion to
calendar
approve.
year 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, the resolution passes. I'd like to ask that we consider resolutions 137, 138, 139, 140, and 141 together. Are there any objections?
For the record, these are all depository agreement.
Noted. Hearing no objections, I'll read each resolution. We'll vote on these resolutions at the conclusion. Resolution 137 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Hamilton County Affordable Housing and U.S. Bank. Resolution 138 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between City West Retail and U.S. Bank. Number 139 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Springdale Senior Limited Partnership, doing business as Baldwin Grove and PNC Bank. Resolution 140 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Touchstone Property Services Incorporated and U.S. Bank. Resolution 141 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Touchstone Property Services Incorporated and Fifth Third Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Very well, thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Resolution 142, providing authorization to proceed with the request for proposals and solicitations for general goods and services from outside vendors.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Resolution 143, authorizing the CEO of Touchstone Property Services to negotiate and enter into contracts for solicitation TP 21-1005. Plumbing maintenance and repair services with Triton Services Incorporated, Blau Mechanical Incorporated, Queen City Mechanicals Incorporated, Roto-Rooter Services Company, and a not to exceed amount of $150,000 annually per contractor for a maximum 5-year contract, funded by operating funds and not to exceed the board approved budget.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, the resolution passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. The Touchstone Property Services Incorporated meeting is closed. Now, we move on to the regular board meeting of the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority for Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Weedman,
Present.
Ms. Spears,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Present.
The chair is present. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections to the June 29, 2021 minutes? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Abstain.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, the motion passes. Item 4 in our agenda is presentations, of which we have none this month. Item 5 is public comments, of which as well, we have no requests to speak this month. Item 6 is discussion of secretary recommendations, starting with the financial report, resolution 5566, approving the bad debt write-offs for June 2021.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any
Rima, could you give us an update on that, please?
Absolutely. So the collection or the bad debt write-offs for June 2021 for the asset management program is approximately $121,496.89. The year-to-date average is $539,510.22, and that's averaging about $90,000 a month. This is the 12th month for our year. This is the close of our year. And in comparison to last year, we were running about $30,000 a month.
We ran 30,000 a month last year, and what did we run this year?
$90,000 a month.
Okay, so we're triple.
Rima, could you put some perspective to that? Please.
Absolutely. I think the better person to do that would be Marquita in regards to what's happening with our write-offs and the trending. And I'm not
Marquita,
sure
you're
if
muted.
Marquita. Oh, there you go.
Marquita is muted.
There we
Can you
go.
hear me?
Yep.
Now we can.
Now
Yes.
we can.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So yes, we anticipated that, the COVID-19 and pandemic and the moratoriums were going to impact our bad debt. And so we are seeing that. We are seeing individuals who are not notifying the management offices and are leaving and skipping. We have individuals who are not taking advantage of, some of the funds in our community and are opting to go ahead and leave. Some of this we believe is because people are trying to move prior to us beginning any eviction process to avoid that kind of item on their record. We also believe that some households are also combining, adult children moving in with their parents to try and, reduce some of the expenses. So that's what we're seeing as far as these debts are concerned. We
As
did
far
have
as-
some, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Marquita. As far as what you just said, is there a distinction without a difference if you skip out owing us money versus having waited into an eviction process with regard to qualifying for a continuing benefit in another place?
There is a distinction, and I guess maybe the main distinction is how we find out that you've moved. So if you actually bring in the keys, we can stop it at the point that you've actually moved out. And in some instances, people are will give us a forwarding address, and we'll make arrangements to pay the debt, and then individuals who skip, we find that out because of mail. It's the way we find it. We find that out that is important distinction between the two. Also, it's critical that we get those keys back so we can stop it at the point where they actually have moved out and not be, surprised when we enter an apartment during an inspection.
But I think
Does that-
your specific question, Mr. Miles, was centered around,
Okay.
no, there's no distinction that if they move out now, that it's not going to follow them. So even the bad debt's still going to follow them. The eviction may not come, but the part about not being able to access this other affordable housing, that's going to be there until they pay the bad debt.
I have a question about the access to county, city, sort of private services. So some residents are taking advantage of these funds and they're able to pay their rent. Are we seeing any trends between residents that reach out, apply for funds versus residents that opt to skip out? Do we understand is there any sort of structural barriers there that we can understand and unpack or sort of predict which households might not take advantage of the resources that have been made available?
We actually can't predict which families will take advantage of it. There's varying reasons why families won't take advantage of it. We've actually this month have had rental blitzes with partnerships with CAA and JFS. And those partnerships have garnered about 315 applications, which is huge for us. And to date, since last year, we've actually collected over $700,000 from CAA and $185,000 from JFS. It's really just where is the family and what their mindset is, such as, will some of my other benefits be affected if I fill out the application? And what is affecting my total family at the time because of the pandemic is actually doing what I call cross-lateral issues for families. So we have been trying everything to get families to fill out the applications before we file them in court. And we haven't filed anyone in court yet, but we're coming up where we're going to have to, with the hopes of that they come to the office, fill out an application, we'll stop the proceedings. But even if we get to court, we'll just enter into an agreed entry so they can fill out the application. The problem is what Marquita said, when they get that eviction notice, if they just leave, then that's just going to leave that debt. And then we'll have to turn the unit and that bad debt's going to follow them. So we're in hopes that the eviction letter will get about 60 to 65% of the people to come in so we can work with them. And then about 20% will show up in court, which leaves us on your original question, what can we predict that may happen or skip out? And so that 15% is what we're hoping that will land and not grow. And that'll go into this current new fiscal year's amount.
Thank you.
Well, is it a correct statement to say that the agency staff is working overtime to redundantly communicate the import of what you just said, Greg?
I would say today, just alone, this morning, all of the people you see on the screen participated in a leasing blitz in the big room for Stanley Row. And that was between 8 and 2, from 12 to 4. we did a leasing blitz at Marquette Manor, which is the 8th one that we've done this month. And we have 2 more and 1 more leasing blitz. So I would say, safe to say, we got all hands on deck.
Mhm. And there's a redundancy in the message that don't assume that there isn't assistance available to you before you decide to choose to move on
Correct.
and
we-
ignore us.
Correct. And we've sent letters on top of letters. I went to a meeting and did a presentation this afternoon at City Council. We're the largest recipient of the funds of any landlord because of the efforts we've been doing over the last 12 months. $700,000, and they've only given out 10 million. So we're getting a big chunk of that.
And would you say those experiences locally are playing out across the United States, that perhaps 90% of the allotted funds have not been applied for?
Oh, definitely. And that's what the meeting was about.
Mhm.
What can be done to give more of the funds out faster? The big thing that we noticed, just at one of our events, we had 15 of our staff dedicated to the rental blitz. We had 124 people that day that filled out an application, which is huge. And that was out of the 315. So out of the 315, we haven't gotten those balances, but I will tell you, the 703,000 represents 497 residents. So we're going to get at north of 500,000 when those applications are processed.
So I think the message to the board is that our staff is finding ways to achieve far above the national performance or experience on this subject.
I do want to just note for the record, at least in my headset, when Greg speaks, there's a little bit of a slur. I want to say that Greg is speaking with clarity and confidence, and that is just a technical. I don't know if anyone else is hearing it that way, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I hear it a little bit.
Okay, very clear in the
Okay.
room.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Resolution 5567 to approve fiscal year 2021 June financial statements for the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Excuse me. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5568. Ratifying the CEO signing the fiscal year end 2021 HUD forms 52681, the year end settlement statements for mod rehab. Is there a motion to
Motion to
accept?
approve?
Second.
Great. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Now I'd like to ask that we consider resolutions 5569 and 5570 together. Are there any objections? No. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Am I still audible?
Yes, you are.
You're audible, yes.
Excuse me. So I'll read each resolution. We'll vote on these resolutions at the conclusion. Resolution 5569 to authorize the execution of a depository agreement between Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority and Fifth Third Bank. Resolution 5570 to authorize the execution of the depository agreement between Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority and U.S. Bank.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second
Thank you. Questions?
question.
Yes, please.
I'm just wondering what these depository agreements replace. Do we do this annually? Is this an annual thing
Renewal.
where we just have to re-up? And are there any substantive changes versus what we have currently?
So, I'm sorry. So these depository agreements are being renewed. They are renewed every 24 months. And basically, these agreements are put in place for any financial institution that receives federal funds on behalf of Cmha. And these agreements basically protect the federal funds. There's an expectation that the funds are protected by FDIC for the first $250,000, and then anything above that, they're collateralized by specific securities. And it also gives HUD some access and control to those funds if they need to, for any reason, put any kind of stop payments or anything like that. And again, they're just renewed every 24 months.
Okay.
So this
Thank you.
is going beyond the FDIC
That is correct.
that every account holder has. It puts us in a more secure position.
Great. Thank you, Rima.
All right.
Right.
So is there a motion to accept resolutions 5569 and 5570?
Motion.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. I'm sorry, I might be.
I think we already had that.
Yes.
we
So
already
it's
did
roll
that.
call.
Roll call. Thank you. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Item 6B is request for approval to solicit bids for the following items. Resolution 5571, providing authorization to proceed with the request for proposals and solicitations for general goods and services from outside vendors. 1, solicitation 2021-1012 for snow removal services, solicitation 2021-1013, inspection services for public housing portfolio, solicitation 2021-3009, Beechwood, exterior ceiling, pre-rat, solicitation 2021-3010, Beechwood, window AC replacement, pre-rat, solicitation 2021-5004, contract administration, labor services, solicitation 2021-7006, strategic planning consultant. Is there a motion to accept?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Item 6C is resolutions to award contract renewals. Resolution 5572, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to sign the second one-year contract extension option for contract 2019-4007. Being architectural services for 9% low-income housing tax credits with Berardi and Partners Incorporated in a not to exceed amount of $500,000 annually for a maximum 5-year contract paid for by LIHTC and other development funds, loans, and or grants.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5573, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to sign the first one-year contract extension option for contract 2020-7004. Janitorial services for Campus with Care and Cleaning Services LLC and Primo Services LLC, and a not to exceed amount of $125,000 annually for the pool of contractors for a maximum 5-year contract paid for by management services funds.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is
Hearing
this just
none.
general?
Oh, please, please go
Just
ahead.
general janitorial?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Friedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Item 6D is adopt a resolution to award the following construction contracts. Resolution 5574, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to enter into a contract for solicitation 2021-3006, RAD conversion renovation at Mariana Terrace Apartments for the amount of $6,572,000 with Graybach LLC, funded through low-income housing tax credits, FHA 221D4 insured loan, HUD, RHF, developer fee capital contribution, deferred developer fees, and county home loans.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
One question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Paid for by deferred developer fees. What are those?
Those are fees that we put back into the project and do not take off the top on the closing is done. So it helps fund the project instead of us taking the maximum amount of developer fee.
So in effect, we're loaning the money back into the project. Is that the,
Well, we're giving it back to the
we're
project.
giving it back? Okay. All right. Okay.
But Greg, I think it would be helpful because I think this is something that is specific to affordable housing
Right.
development, and it happens quite often. Do you mind giving
Yeah.
a little bit of like why that happens?
I could, but Rima probably would give it much better than I can.
Okay, well, I will certainly try. So typically, there's two types of things you can do with developer fees. There is a developer fee contribution, which is you're allowed to go beyond the 15% developer fee. You're allowed to go up to 20 or 25% of developer fee based on whether it's a floor or 9%. And then contribute that extra amount back into the deal as a contribution to cover gaps. So a lot of deals, even though you get tax credits, whether it's a 4 or 9, and you put in, other types of loans, you still will end up with small gaps, hopefully small gaps. And this is a mechanism of being able to cover those gaps. So that's so there's the contribution aspect to developer fee, and then there's something called the deferred developer fee, and that even if you put in the contribution of developer fee, at times there's still maybe a couple $100,000 remaining. That might be a gap, and you can use the deferred aspect. Again, it comes off the top, as Mr. Johnson said, of developer fee that you receive in whole. And it's put back into the deal to cover the gap. And then on the deferred aspect, you should be, hopefully through cash flow, be able to recover that over the next 10 years of the deal by receiving small amount over the 10 years. So yeah, that's how developer fee is used in a lot of our financing.
Who recovers it over a period of years?
So whoever the owner is, in this case, the entities that we have set up, and it's really based on cash flow. So it's not a hard commitment. It's kind of a soft, if there is cash flow, excess cash flow, then the deferred developer fee is paid back.
But it's us, it's over time that's supposed to get it back. And that goes to Mr. Harris' question. Only individuals or organizations that's trying to develop and rehab true affordable housing will do this and take a stand and put deferred and contribution developer fee in the deals.
And this is part of the pro forma as originally intended once you got to that point of
Correct.
shaking hands on the deal. It's
Right.
not because material shot up in the interim or something like that.
Well, that's why we had to go back out because the cost went up. So we had to go back out. But the developer fee, we were already doing that in the old performance.
But this is the difference between the deal going forward and not going forward.
Oh, definitely.
Does that answer
Yes,
questions?
thank you.
Okay,
Mhm.
so any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Now, resolution 5575, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to enter into a contract for solicitation 2021-3008. RAD conversion HVAC replacement and alterations at Horizon Hills. For the amount of $2,340,000 with Triton Services Incorporated, paid for by capital funds.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5576, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to retroactively approve the construction contract for emergency fire pump replacement at Marquette Manor for the amount of $127,691 funded by capital funds.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is
Hearing
everything
none.
okay with the emergency? Okay.
Yeah, we finally got it up, but it took a while because of parts and all that. But Joe and them did a great job of finding the contractor, getting it up. And we did a fire watch until it was done. So we had to do a fire watch for about 8 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Item 6E is adopt a resolution general. Resolution 5577 to update Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority bylaws.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5578, ratifying the CEO the authority to sign the RAD financing plan commitment letter and future authority to sign agreements, contracts, and other documents necessary to close the Horizon Hills RAD transaction.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question about this. We're going to see more of this tonight, these broad authorities, and I'm just
Mhm.
wondering if this is too broad. I mean, in other words, the future authority to sign contracts, I'm just wondering at what point the board will see these.
The board will see them at the next meeting, but basically it's only to close this deal, not a broad every contract we have. So if the timing is such that it's in between board meetings, we'll bring it to the board meeting and I won't sign it. It's only if the fund, we get the process done to close, will I sign it.
Okay.
And it's limited to this transaction.
I mean, how
Correct.
often do you
Correct.
expect a situation to come up like this, Greg, where,
Well, it's, it's-
between board meetings or?
yeah, it's happening more and more as we're doing more RAD deals.
Yeah.
Because the funding cycles are between 4%, 9%. And then when we use FHA, we have no control. They call us and tell us when we're close. So down later in the board meeting, I'm asking for the ability to sign those documents, and with Ms. Mitchell's addition, to make sure that they're brought back to the board at the next immediate board meeting. And subsequently, with her addition, it says that I'll alert you when I do it.
Okay, does that apply to this as well?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Now, resolution 5579, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to sign a master development agreement with the Michaels Company for Millvale.
Motion to
North and
approve.
South. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Resolution 5580, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to enter into contracts for solicitation 2021-1005. Plumbing maintenance and repair services with Blau Mechanical Incorporated, the Geiler Company, Triton Services Incorporated, Queen City Mechanicals Incorporated, Roto-Rooter Services Company, and Wise and Associates Incorporated, DBA Wise Plumbing, in a not to exceed amount of $500,000 annually per contractor for a maximum 5-year contract funded by operational funds not to exceed the board approved budget.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Resolution 5581, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to negotiate and enter into contracts for solicitation 2021-1010, security guard services with BWH Security LLC, Metro Security and Detective Agency LLC, and Vets Securing America for a maximum 5-year contract not to exceed the board approved budget and in a not to exceed amount of $2,400,000 from operational funds and $82,000 from administrative fees and CARES Act funds annually for the pool of contractors.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just in general, how are we doing with our security contracts? I mean, are we happy with them? I imagine maybe not terrible, but what's the state of sort of security in our contracts?
Yeah, we actually do two things. We listen to the residents is one. So if the residents are not happy with them, then we offer the residents to look at some other company in the pool. Some residents or some of our buildings, like, one of the contractors, then the other building may not like them. So we kind of gauge it that way. And then we gauge it on responsiveness and then the type of reports we get from them. I would say right now, we have a new group in this pack that so far they're doing pretty good. We have a group that we've had for a while that they've done well at some places and not so well at other places. But they've been very responsive to us as what our needs are for fire watches and things like that.
Thank you.
Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5582, authorizing the CEO of the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority to negotiate and enter into contracts for solicitation 2021-1011, preventative maintenance plan with Triton Services Incorporated, a Fist of Contractors LLC, and William M. Kramer, DBA Kramer and Associates Group, in a not to exceed amount of $90,000 annually per contractor for a maximum 3-year contract, funded by operational funds not to exceed the board approved budget.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
One question, Mr. Chairman, what is FIST of contractors?
It's
I think that's their name.
It's their name, yeah.
Well, I mean, what is the
What it
name?
stand for?
Fist.
What's it stand for?
Oh, I don't. Do you know, Janelle?
It's family something, and I forget what it is after that, but the F is for families.
Okay. I mean, it looks like it's a name of it looks like a political connection or something.
Oh.
No?
yeah.
No, I was gonna, the prior name of the company was WeHaul, so I'm not sure if this is an improvement, but it is families, and he can explain it to you.
And
Okay.
we have in the past approved them as part of our
Oh, yeah.
pool.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
have a performance.
We don't have
Okay.
issues with them, and one time we did, and by the time I called him, he had already terminated the employee and taken care of it. So he's very receptive to any issues,
All
but
right.
they're just our hair living.
I don't think they're a Black Power Fist of Contractors.
No, no.
Well, I mean,
Probably like a fist full of.
A fist, right? Families in search of trash. Families in search. Family. Yeah, I don't know.
If
All right.
you
It's
would
just
like,
their
I could,
name.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you would like, I can ask for the
No, that's
exactly
all
what
right.
it stands for and have Mr. Johnson relay that to you.
Okay, it's not that important. I just was curious what it stood for. It just was one of those things that looked odd to me. So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't like acronyms.
Oh.
I'm sorry, acronyms like that in.
It is rather unfortunate in its
Yeah.
lack of clarity.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, it
I'll
looks like
leave
it
it
could
at
have a
that.
double meaning or something. I just want to be,
yeah.
if you've properly vetted them, I'm satisfied. Thank
Very
you.
Yes, I-
good.
He has actually helped other contractors, people who've worked for him, go into business and seems to be well respected by the other contractors too. So
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, Ed, go home and Google it.
Well, that's great to hear too. Okay, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5583, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to enter into a contract for award of up to 56 vouchers to Bennett Point LLC for solicitation 2021-2002 for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, HCV, project-based vouchers, PBV.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5584, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to enter into a contract for award of up to 42 vouchers to Logan Commons LLC for solicitation 2021-2002 for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, project-based vouchers.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5585, authorizing the CEO of CMHA to enter into a contract for award of up to 58 vouchers to Talbert House for Summit Apartments for Solicitation 2021-2002 for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, project-based vouchers.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, we currently have vouchers at Talbot House, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You know how many we have?
We have 96 currently.
96? Okay, so we're
Mhm.
adding an additional 58.
Yes.
Okay,
Which will
thank you.
bring them to 154.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
One more question about this. How is there an expiration on these vouchers? How long do they last?
They can have up to 2 20-year contracts.
Okay. Per voucher?
Yes, for the contract, for the 58 total, for each of their contracts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5586, renewing the authority of the CEO of the CMHA to authorize and sign time extensions and change orders to contracts not to exceed 20% of the initial contract amount.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5587, renewing the authority of the CEO of the CMHA to execute and sign contracts in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
One quick question. This is a renewing an existing authority. What is the expiration of that authority? Does it have to be renewed annually?
Yes, we bring it back every August.
Okay. And assuming that this falls under the same requirements that we discussed a minute ago, that if you sign contracts in, let's see, execute
Not
and
to-
sign contracts in an amount not to exceed $100,000, are those reported back to the board?
Every month. So you have a section actually on the agenda
Right.
that says the amount that I signed for that month. So you see it every month.
Okay. Thank you.
So we also list those in the quarterly reports that you get. We list all of the contracts.
Okay.
All right, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5588, renewing the authority of the CEO of CMHA to enter into cooperative purchasing agreements with vendors and contractors in compliance with 2 CFR 200.318E as a means to implement bulk purchasing and provide efficiencies and cost savings to the authority.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, what's an example of this?
Lowe's for the
Um,
appliances that we were able to purchase this year, we get a discounted rate and we buy enough from them through this that they respond pretty well to us. AT&T mobile phone service, we're gonna do that. A lot of these contracts are through cooperative agencies that there's like 50 to 70,000 other government entities that join in the
Right.
contract, so we get
Okay,
better deals.
that's the piece. So it's
Yes,
okay,
stay
that makes sense.
cooperative.
Yeah, it's
Got
it's
it.
all like bigger name companies like Rico, Train.
Perfect.
Okay. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5589, renewing the authority of the CEO of CMHA to negotiate and enter into contracts for solicitation 2021-2003. HCV Housing Search Assistance Plan with Talbot House and a not to exceed amount of $400,000 annually for a maximum of 3-year contract funded by administrative fees, not to exceed the board approved budget.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Second
Thank you. Any questions?
question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I'm wondering if we could hear a little bit more about what the housing search assistant plan is with Talbot House.
So
What exactly is that?
as part of our award from HUD for the emergency housing vouchers, CMHA is required to provide housing search assistance to those voucher holders. So we published our RFP for solicitations, and Talbot House was the best vendor that responded. Basically, they're going to help them locate housing. They're going to recruit owners for the program. They're going to guide them to resources for deposits and utility assistance. And they're also going to provide some wraparound case management services.
Is this a computer-based system that
No.
they're using for referrals, or how does it work?
The referrals for those vouchers are actually coming from Strategies to End Homelessness. And we will refer the families that are pulled and issued the vouchers over to Talbot House so they can work with those families just to ensure that they can find whatever assistance. They're going to make assessments, again, to see what is needed to make those families successful in housing.
And this is part of the CARES Act, and out of that, CMHA got 250 additional vouchers. So these are all new vouchers that and they have special connections and what you have to do to get those vouchers in the street, and they're targeted at homeless individuals and families.
Great, thank you.
Just one correction, just for a question. It says administrative fees. Should we add CARES Act as well, Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's both of those will be paying for it, yeah. So as a recommendation.
I'd like to make a motion I'll amend my motion to include CARES Act fees in this.
Very
And
well.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The resolution passes. Resolution 5590, authorizing the CEO of the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority to execute contracts with dates preceding board meetings and to approve other operational items that pertain to daily continuity of business. All such actions shall be presented to the board at the immediate subsequent available board meeting. Is there a motion to accept?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Oh. I do have another
then-
question about this. I'm sorry. What are other operational items that pertain to daily continuity?
If there's an emergency, like a fire or something that I need to approve, something that normally would come before you, it would give me the ability to do that, to protect the staff, protect our asset, or the resident.
Okay.
And
My-
was
My
there?
concern about my concern about that language is that it's very broad. I mean, you could probably call anything an operational item.
It's probably difficult to put language in there because it's difficult to predict what situations he may encounter.
Can you give us an example? Was there such an example this week or 10 in the last 2 weeks?
Well, the prime example, one good example is when Mr. Harris asked me, the fire pump. The fire pump went down the city came in and said, hey, you got to do a fire watch and get that fixed. We don't have a board meeting in July. I can't wait until August to come back and do that.
And didn't we also have a chiller go down in the interest of helping tenants avoid any medical events,
Correct.
catastrophic medical events? It meant
Correct.
procuring
Right.
significant expense.
And I do think the nature of Greg's role in managing a housing authority is that there is a pretty broad, because of the things
What
that
can
show
happen.
up,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's probably that vetting, that trust level that we have to have. Just on a little bit lighter, I can only imagine the chronicles that you can put together after you retire about managing housing authority and what is happening. I make light of it. I think that's
But Mr. O'Donnell, to your point, I think the clear thing that you're proving tonight, if I do something, the onus is on me to be sure that I alert you and bring it back here at the next board meeting
Alert via email? Is that what you
via
mean?
email.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
I
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, the resolution passes. Now, before we deal with section 7, I'm having a senior moment. Do we declare whether we expect to take action upon coming out of an executive session?
Yes, and we don't expect to take any action, just
Okay.
update and information. But before you ask for that, I just wanted to say thank you to the board. Once again, you did something tonight that will be a staple point in Hamilton County by approving the agreement with Millville North and South. So you've done it once with Winton and Feinlater, and now with Millville, and now you're talking about the 2 largest family sites in Hamilton County that we're doing something about when it comes to quality affordable housing. And I applaud you for taking a step to go forward to do that. So I appreciate that.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah.
Very well. So the board will go into executive session to review real estate, personnel, and legal matters.
Motion to accept?
Second?
Thank you. And okay, so it's
Roll call?
yeah, but it's understood that we're not going to
No
take
action.
action when we come out.
yes.
Okay, be patient with me, folks. Roll call, Ms. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman,
Aye.
Ms. Spears,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
I
Mr. O'Donnell,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, the motion passes. Okay,
And so the only person that has to hang on for us to come back is Gary.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Everybody else, everybody's
you.
good.
Night.
And Crystal, we're just gonna put our cameras on block, and then we're gonna cut our sound off, and then we'll come back on.
That's just fine.
Okay, thank you. Make sure everybody hit their red button on their headsets. And where's my camera?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Just up this way.
Crystal, I think we're ready to come out of executive session. You still there? There she is.
Everybody good?
I don't know. Can I be heard?
Yes, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the video
Bottom
part.
left-hand corner.
There it is.
Okay. So let's see. May I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Mitchell. Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears. Thank you. Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion passes. If there's no other business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks. Any questions? Hearing none. Roll call to adjourn. Ms. Mitchell. Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Ms. Spears.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion passes. The regular board meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for
Thank
the
you.
Thank you. Thank you,
strong
Crystal.
attendance tonight too. Thank you.